few years ago, I decided to take my family up to a secluded cabin by the lake for a much-needed escape. It was a chance to unwind after a stressful period, especially after winning a significant case against a notorious drug dealer. We arrived at the cabin, settled in, and were enjoying the peace and quiet of the remote location. One night, while we were all trying to sleep, I was abruptly awakened by my wife, who was shaking me intensely. Her face was pale, and there was a palpable sense of panic in her voice. She told me someone was banging on our cabin door. I was groggy and confused, wondering why someone would be out here in the middle of the night in such an isolated area. I got out of bed to investigate, and my wife handed me my phone, but I assured her I wouldn't need it. The knocking continued, louder and more persistent, and I felt a growing sense of unease. When I finally opened the door, I was startled to see a young boy standing on the porch. He couldn't have been more than 10 years old. I asked him what he was doing here at this hour, but instead of answering, the boy turned and began to run away. My instincts kicked in, and I ran after him, with my wife calling out from the porch, clearly terrified. The boy darted through the dark, rain-soaked yard, running in erratic circles before tripping and falling. I managed to catch up with him, grabbing him by the arm and demanding to know why he had come to our cabin in the middle of the night. The boy looked up at me, his eyes wide and fearful. He stammered, "Because my uncle told me to." I pressed him for more details, asking why his uncle wanted him to do that. The boy hesitated before finally saying, "To get you out of the house." As soon as those words left his mouth, my wife screamed my name in a voice filled with terror. I turned around and saw 4 men running toward us. They were clearly not just ordinary intruders. They were hitmen. My heart raced as I realized the gravity of the situation. I was so frightened that I accidentally knocked the boy to the ground in my frantic rush to get back inside the cabin. I could see my wife now holding a baseball bat, ready to defend our home, but I shouted at her to get inside and call the police. The hitmen were closing in fast, just 15 feet behind me. I scrambled inside the cabin, slammed the door shut, and grabbed my phone. I dialed 911, my hands shaking as I explained the situation to the operator. The police arrived quickly, but by the time they got there, the hitmen had vanished. They conducted a thorough search of the area and discovered that our car had been tampered with, and some personal information had been stolen. Despite their efforts, they were unable to locate the men. We were left shaken and confused. We had no idea who those men were, what they wanted, or why they targeted us. The thought of what could have happened if they had managed to enter the cabin while my family was inside was almost too much to bear. The terrifying encounter left us with a deep sense of dread. After that night, we made the decision never to return to that cabin by the lake. The experience was a stark reminder of how quickly a peaceful retreat can turn into a nightmare. The memory of those hitmen and the frightened boy still haunts me to this day, and the cabin remains a place we have left behind forever.